it'd be so much better if we could convince people, like, to make them try to go union. And it's worked on some shows. It definitely has worked on some shows, some anime shows.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Yeah.
And did I have had this fact lodged in my mind for a long time, and I haven't been able to actually verify it. But was Naruto a union dub?
It always has been, yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't union.
That's awesome.
I don't do non-union stuff, but a lot of anime is non-union, which is why I never did a lot of anime. You know, plus it pays shit. So
right, yeah, and that's another problem with anime, and Crunchyroll has been really, really, you know, I think that you were I think that's actually how we followed each other on Twitter, is because we covered what was happening with Kyle McCarley and Mob Psycho 100 when Crunchyroll refused to even have a meeting with SAG. Yeah,
that's what I saw, and I mean, I don't deal with Crunchyroll really very much, but part of that is also because they do so many non-union projects, and so that's how I was aware of you guys, because I think it came up in my tweets or something. Maybe not. Maybe I was following them, or maybe not. But that's definitely how it came about. And that guy, I don't really know him, but he was trying to get him to go union, and it would be basically the same amount of money. And I've been through that several times. I've had straight offers, and I'm like, well, I can't do it. It's non-union, and it'll be the same price if you make it union. And they're like, no. And even though for dubbing, we don't get residuals anyway, so it really isn't like you have to keep track of residuals like you do in regular animation. And the rate is so low. I mean, agents don't love it because they don't make very much money on it. It's an hourly rate. But some companies, they pay so little money. And to me, it's just, awful that people feel like they have to do it, and then that they do it. And like, it caught my eye because he was trying to make the cast and all of them go union, and they refused. And I've had that situation happen to me before, not with Naruto, but with different things.
How was it that Naruto became a union dub? Because, like you said, so much of the anime work is not union, and there is really, really there's really an antagonism there.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never sat down and really asked, but they had such good people involved. I think it was just they had to go union. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not really sure, but like a lot of those shows that started off non-union, now the bigger shows have become union. And Naruto was always union. I don't know, but there were always people on it, and still are, that do, their financial core or whatever, which I think is just, I think you're either union or non-union. And so the union making a financial core category seems kind of crazy, but Texas is a right to work state, as is Georgia. So, you kind of lose out to some of that because they can't make you.
Yeah, union making a financial core category. Can you explain to me what that means?
So financial core basically means, from what I've understood it for 20 years or more, but is that you can work non-union, but you can't vote in the national or regional elections, and you can't serve on a board. And that's pretty much it. You can still get health insurance, I think, which to me is the biggest benefit for me, because it employs me and it gives me health insurance and my wife, and which is really hard to get. Some years you're not employed as much. So yeah, that's basically what it is. And a lot of people would actually do stuff a long time ago under fake names. So you'll see credits where it's like, whatever. It's somebody whose name you would know, but they do it under like Bob Smith or something. A lot of those people, once they get more established, stop doing that. And then begin doing union stuff, but not all of them.
So, I told you via DM that we are that what we're doing right now is we're completing a 32-hour marathon fundraising live stream for striking workers in the South, folks in Florida and Tennessee. There are manufacturing workers in Memphis, Tennessee, that are fighting back some really draconian concessions that the company is pushing. The company came to the table asking for the taking away of overtime protection. So currently, on top of the legally mandated, if you work over 40 hours, you get time and a half after 40. In their contract, like in a lot of other union contracts, you get time and a half after 8 hours in a single day as well. They want to take that away.
Yeah.
They also want to take away paid breaks, and they want the ability to unilaterally be able to change their health insurance plan with only a 30-day notice within the term of the contract. Right. So these people have been on. They worked without a contract for a year, and then they finally went on strike in June. And so they've been on strike since June with they're members of the BCTGM, Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union. Been on strike since June. So we wanted to raise some money for them. And over in Florida, UAW members at Mack Trucks are on strike. They've been on strike for about a month after the company, after record profits, $12 billion in profits, I think, that Volvo got, which owns Mack Trucks. They don't want to reinstate the COLA. They are not budging on tiers. They are not budging on wage increases that will actually meet and exceed the cost of inflation. And so these are two smaller strikes, smaller locals, not as big names as the big three automakers. Right, that was all over the news. And these strikes haven't gotten that kind of attention. And so we have a small union radio program. So we wanted to do what we could to raise money for them. And so we are now in our 32nd hour of
oh my God.
So we've been doing this for 32 hours now.
Are you a little tired?
I'm a little tired. Yeah, I'm gonna be hitting the hay pretty soon after we wrap up here at about 5 or 5:30. But and so that's why we're doing this, and we really appreciate you helping us out with this, being willing to talk to us for a little while. For folks that are listening, tvlr.fm/strike fundraiser is where you can donate. tvlr.fm/strike fundraiser. We are currently sitting at $13,635 raised. So
That's
appreciate
great.
everybody that has donated so far. Miley, can you tell us how you, what made you so pro-union? What was it that convinced you that to be so committed to it? You said you wouldn't do a dub if it was, you wouldn't have done Naruto if it wasn't union, and that's right. Not the attitude that a lot of people would take to this kind of stuff. That's right.
Well, I mean, I really wanted to be union right away, and it was hard to earn that entry into the union. And then you have to maintain it. And, pretty early on, I got some great benefits from it. I don't know what I would have done for healthcare. Of course, with ours, with SAG-AFTRA, the minimums go up every year. So, you have to earn a certain amount of money and maintain it to qualify for the next year. So that was part of it. And I mean, as a poli-sci major in college at Boston College, and, at one point I thought about going into the State Department and politics and stuff like that. That's what I was going to do before I decided to become an actor. And, I support workers. I always have. I don't know. When Carter, I'm really old, but when, I saw things happening when Carter was in office when I was young. And, I just recognized that. So I guess it's that. And it just didn't seem right, that people were taking advantage of. So I guess it's just morals.
Oh, right. Just like a basic sense of justice.
Yeah. And I grew up in the military, and, my dad was a civilian, but pretty high ranked. And I always thought, we're pretty well off. And then I went to college, and my mind was blown at Boston College. People were going there that had their last names on liquor and, companies, and Tom McCann, shoe stores were all the old people up there. And I would go on spring break and end up at somebody's father's hotel, but they own one of several. Yeah, it just, the amount of wealth I saw at Boston College blew me out of the water. And I just thought, this is crazy. Not that those were unjust people, they weren't, but just it all began to click to me. I thought we're doing great, my family. I mean, I didn't have a lot of money in college, but, I lived, I had fun, I worked.
Right.
I started working when I was young, too. I did everything. I started passing out flyers, then I was a grocery bagger. In high school, I ended up running a cookie shop at the PX, bossing around these part-time 30-year-olds. So, yeah, I was always I liked money. I still like money, but I like being fair.
Yeah. Well, I think that really sums up being a union member, because union members absolutely, we are not a poverty cult. In fact, in many ways, we are the opposite of a poverty cult. We want to take all of the money that we create, right? That's kind of the whole shtick, is we're the ones making the wealth for the people at the top, and so we're trying to claw as much of that back as possible. So we like money, but we think it should be fair. I think that's a pretty good.
It's funny talking to you specifically today. Yesterday, I spent an hour and a half listening to Fran Drescher, the president of SAG-AFTRA, and Duncan, who's Crabtree something, I can't remember, sorry, but he was a negotiator. And they did a press conference. I listened to the whole thing, and then the Q&A about our SAG negotiations. And there's no, people think it's spoiled movie stars, but it's really not. It's just like working people. The makeup people, the guys that run the cable, the grips, the lighting guys, the craft service guys, the drivers, they're all Teamsters, and record-breaking profits with Netflix and all these other things. It's nuts. And it's really, the fight wasn't about movie stars. They'll be fine either way. But the fight was sort of about maintaining and not cutting all these jobs and just undercutting when the CEOs are making $60 million a year, 60 million. And in this time, our health premiums go up, and we're just trying to make sure that we keep health insurance for ourselves or our family, and any kind of benefit like that. The days are long on TV sets and movie sets, very, very long. And, if you didn't have some of those protections, you could just be working 23 hours, which used to happen all the time. So it's really important for that kind of stuff.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Could I'd be interested in you talking about some of the hazards of being a voice actor in particular, but I imagine there's some things that people don't think about with acting, separate from voice acting. But I remember when I was listening to all of this unfold around Mob Psycho 100 and Kyle McCarley. I listened to a couple of podcasts of his, and there were people who did anime dubs who were talking about all of the screaming. It literally can break your vocal cords if you don't have certain protections that more or less is like you don't have to scream for more than this amount of time in a day, right? And that's something that I don't have to think about, right? But it's important, and that's why everybody having a union is important.
Yeah. For Naruto, for example, I screamed all the time. And, generally on a voiceover contract, you can do up to 4 hours, right? That's the limit. It's usually, 4 hours. And then after I did the first several episodes of Naruto, I went to my agents. I said, man, this is so much screaming. And I said, I can't do this for 4 hours. So we decided on 2 hours. And then video games, I do 3 hours. But video games are pure screaming. Being union doesn't take away the screaming at all. And it doesn't mean that you can't scream in back-to-back sessions. That's one thing they're kind of still trying to work out, is how much you can scream. But, Call of Duty, all those union video games, you're still screaming. So I don't know how they're going to resolve a lot of that, other than at least there are vocal protections that you won't scream for 8 hours.
Right.
You know, but if you can't maintain screaming, you really shouldn't be doing those games. That's what I tell college kids when I teach them. I'm like, you'll do a funny voice or a screamy voice. And I'm like, are you prepared to do that for a first person shooter game where you're yelling literally every line that you say? Now in Naruto, I yell most of the lines that I say in the video games, or at least they're call outs. They're long, energetic. It's very hard. So the protections about that are valid. I think there are companies that take advantage of that. And I also think the companies, you know, are making $60 million off a video game. And then they've had people working for $20 an hour, you know, with no guarantees, no health insurance. They still pay taxes on it. They might still have to pay an agent 10%. It's not just, and it still exists. But, you know, it's funny because a lot of people that do that stuff when they're young, then a lot of them want to move to LA and then they want to do all the union stuff, the Marvel stuff, the Star Wars stuff. And so it'd be so much better if we could convince people like to make them try to go union. And it's worked on some shows. It definitely has worked on some shows, some anime shows. The animation shows generally, original animation is generally unionized, and it gets a little tricky when you go to Canada because they're having kind of the same problems a little bit in Canada. And so a lot of people that are dual citizens are able to work on a different contract in Canada. You can't, you know, they work here under the SAG-AFTRA and then they work in Canada under I don't know what. Yeah. So
it's interesting to me that you said that you were a part of AFTRA before SAG. Although I guess it makes sense because maybe SAG is like, you know, an actor, and then maybe AFTRA would house voice actors. But the thing that I think of with AFTRA is radio show hosts. And I guess the reason for that is I know somebody who was in AFTRA before the merger, and he was you know a morning radio host, and that's how he came in. Yeah, that's true. But there's also, like, I did a lot of AFTRA stuff. I lived in Minneapolis for a while, and it was an AFTRA town. SAG was really more for movies and television. And AFTRA, like, I did a lot of commercials, especially the first couple of years out here in LA before they merged. So all my stuff went to AFTRA, and then I would do some SAG stuff. So, and I'm still even unclear when I get the huge pamphlet every year. Like, they had a hard time merging the pensions. I'm still a little confused about how some of that money that I made earlier in my career, the first several years in LA, I did a ton of commercials. I made a ton of money. Now that went away and I kept my day job for a long time, but, you know, of course, ups and downs. And, but so I remember joining SAG when I got here, and, but most of the commercials were under AFTRA. Industrials are under AFTRA. Stuff like that is under AFTRA. Like if you did promos, they could be AFTRA. Promos for TV stations, you know, that kind of stuff. Radio ads. Right.
Yeah, but now it's SAG After.
And so, you know, thinking about the beginning of your career, and I think that's awesome that you know, as soon as you could qualify, you wanted to be part of the union, and a difference that you know, between SAG and you know, SAG-AFTRA, formerly SAG, and AFTRA, and my union, for instance, you know, I became a member as soon as I became an employee at my job, right? I'm a federal employee. Yeah. I came on as an intern, and I joined a union as soon as I joined the union as soon as I knew we had a union in the workplace, and so, but that's not exactly the case with SAG-AFTRA. You've got to meet certain requirements, and I've got a friend here who is an actress who she is like much like you. She wants to join SAG-AFTRA as soon as she can, but she's like, once I join SAG-AFTRA, I can't do any non-union work, but if I join it too early, I'm not going to be able to get picked for union work, and so it's a really, it's a really kind of difficult thing for young actors and actresses to find themselves in, I would imagine. What would your advice be for somebody like that?
Well, where is she?
She lives in Huntsville right now, Huntsville, Alabama, and she travels for.
See, Alabama's another tricky one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a decision. It's a hard one. Again, right to work states like Georgia, you can flip flop. It's what would I recommend to her? I mean, I liked it, but at the same time, like I know all the union work in Minneapolis where I still have a lot of friends died, right? So all the union people are really not working, but all the other people are doing kind of local stuff. And that can keep them going. It may not make them a living, but they're still working as an actor. They may have other jobs too. So, I mean, that's a tough position to say that you're in that state. You would have to consider it. But if you're moving to a bigger market, I would always recommend going union. I know it's been tough for people, and I know people drop out of the union. I've known many people that have dropped out of the union. And then I know people that, they do the thing with the fake names, or they just do it. Nobody notices or catches them. And very rarely do they catch them. So it's more of a thing.
Right.
But the thing to work at is like the guy that you knew. Tell me his name again. Kyle
McCarley. Yeah.
He was I did the same thing with the show. And I said, I got all the main people to say, we're going to do it union. I got the main people to say, we'll do it union. And the production company said, and it was the same exact amount of money, right? They had to pay the percentage to SAG After, which is into the pension to help, which is like, I mean, for the union dubbing rate, which is pretty low at the time, especially, I mean, really low, like $70 an hour, right? They'd have to pay maybe $12 extra, maybe 12 or 24. And they're
Whoop.
Oh no.
making millions of my comments to the, I can't believe it, but if they do it again, I think it's gonna be a lot harder to do that. But I mean, I've been offered a straight series, 35 episodes. They're cute little, God, they were only like 3 or 4 5-minute episodes. The lead, 32 of them, was only going to air. It's in English, but it was only going to air in, I don't want to say, not France, but it seems like maybe it's a French production company, but it wasn't going to air in the United States. And they offered me right away like $35,000 to do it, a buyout. I think the episodes were like 3 minutes long. Right. And I had to turn it down. And it was a time when I really needed the money. Like all my commercials were over and it sucked, quite frankly, but I was like, I can't do it. And if I do that, they're going to ask me to do the next one and the next one and the next one. And also like, I have a pretty recognizable voice, even though I can do other voices, but,
right.
And do other voices, but I'm not honking my own horn, but I won an Emmy, and it's just like, it's really turning your back on all that kind of stuff. If I were to do that, even though I really needed the money. Yeah. It's just like, well, I guess I'm going to have to make money other ways. So for your friend, I mean, if she's going to stay there, her choice may not to join the union, You do get to sign a waiver, so you can do one union job. And then the next one you do, you're supposed to join the union.
Right. Well, I appreciate that.
But if she's never going to move to a bigger market, then it's not in her best interest if she wants to.
Right. I do think at some point she wants to move into a bigger market. It's just not the right time for her right now. Is my understanding. I don't know. I'm not. We're not. I'm not super in her professional business, but I do think that she wants to move to LA or New York or something like that at some point.
Well, I think for young actors, getting as much as you can besides before you move to these big markets is important too. So, she can actually do work there that is non-union and compile a reel. It's going to help her get to LA, then she can join the union. But I'm not advocating non-union work. I just know that there are places where you're the big deal in Jackson, Mississippi.
Right.
It's probably not going to be union work.
Yeah, I know.
Unless they're newscasters.
Well, and I know that she's talked to me about Tyler Perry and his effect on.
Oh my God! Don't get me started.
Well, now you have to. Now you have to talk about Tyler Perry.
I mean, all you have to do is Google Tyler Perry and SAG After strike, and I have a lot of friends that have done shows for him, work for him, actors, producers, writers. people that have done special effects, you name it. But he may be generous, but that's it's a strange. I don't know. I don't get it. Georgia is right to work, and that's where he's set up.
Yeah.
He's richer than God. You would think it wouldn't really bother him, but
yeah,
I don't know.
The long and short of it is that Tyler Perry's not a Union fan.
No, and that's to say the least. I mean, he hates the Union.
Yeah.
And it's really funny for people that were once regular Joes, and then all of a sudden they get this enormous wealth, and then they don't like the Union.
Right.
Right. Well,
that to me is such hypocrisy.
Yeah, it is. And on that note, I was just going to say that reminds me that so in a previous career path, I represented education employees. I was basically like the teachers union rep, more or less. And, I represented multiple folks, employees, who came to me as their rep, in tears in my office about the way they were being treated. A year, 2 years later, they got promoted to principal, and suddenly it was their teachers coming to my office in tears about the way this person was treating them. And how soon you forget where you come from, how, the hypocrisy of it. It is so frustrating when you see people who do that. I don't know how you can do that. Like, I have to sleep at night. I guess I don't. I can go one night without sleep.
There you go.
In honor of striking Southern
You
workers.
have 36 hours, yeah.
Yes, for these striking Southern workers, I can do it. But yeah, we got to be able to sleep at night and I don't know, live with yourselves. And so I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah, it does make sense to me. The more you talk, Miley, the more the respect that I have for you, and very happy to be a Naruto fan right now. And we have another Naruto fan here in the room with us. We do the show from Ben's basement. He has this really cool basement studio, and if you'd like to sit down, you can. And his nephew lives with him, and he is almost as big a Naruto fan as I am, definitely. And so you had a couple of questions for Miley, right?
Yeah. So I have a question.
Lean in. I want to see him.
So what would you want to say to the world, like everybody, like Naruto fans, everybody?
Well, hold on. I'm sorry, Adam. Can we show? Put the camera on him so that Miley can see.
There you go.
And introduce yourself too.
Oh, so my name is Hayden Grimm. I've been a Naruto fan since I was 9. I've been a very big Naruto fan. I'm right now watching. I'm rewatching it, kind of where the war scene is in Naruto Shippuden. I just really like Naruto.
Oh, good scene.
Seriously.
Yeah,
So,
I believe it.
Question.
See what I did there? Yeah, go ahead.
What would you want to say to the world? Like, seriously, like everybody in the world.
As Naruto?
Yeah, like everybody.
I mean, I think I get that interview a lot. Questions. I was at New York Comic-Con. I had a huge panel. Yeah. It was encouraging to hear how many people are influenced by the show, by the writing, by the art, by the messages, and I always say this, he never gives up. He's not afraid to fail, and he does fail and then comes back, keeps going. He never gives up. That's his ninja way. Yeah. Says it 25,000 times a season. I guess it's just like, sometimes you can get a lot out of a very simple thing like watching a cartoon. Yeah. And you never know where that's going to take you. But I meet a lot of people that have overcome a lot of hardships from watching this. And some people just like it, they just like it. And I like that too. Yeah. But some people have really used it. I've met people that have overcome car accidents and lost 100 pounds and gotten through Iraq and, all sorts of military deploy. A lot of military people, because it goes around, I think, because they're stuck out on a ship in the middle of the South China Sea or something. But anyway, so I think just enjoy what you love and try and take something positive from it. I guess that would be my message.
I gotta do one more question.
And make some money while you're at it if you can.
Oh yeah, I have one more question.
Makes it easier.
Can you
Yeah.
say Naruto? I mean, in like Naruto voice, believe it.
My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Believe it. Listen to the Valley Labor Report.
There we go.
Should have me do a promo.
We got to clip that.
Well, you have to write up the.
Yeah, I'll have to write.
You gotta write up the whole
you have
thing
to
for
send
me in
an
the chat.
invoice, right?
My friends are gonna go crazy. They won't believe me at all.
That'll be SAG scale for the day. It's original, so it's much more expensive than dubbing.
Maybe we can work
No.
out a
I'm
deal
glad I
with
found you guys. Yeah.
May God
I'm
bless
glad
you.
I found you guys. I think you're doing great work, and I hope those people at Mac and the other company, I hope that they get a good deal and a fair shake, because I think everybody deserves that. There's enough crap going on in the world that you don't want to have to worry about that. So, I'm very pro-union. I just remember that my grandfather started the first firefighters union in New Hampshire, maybe in New England, I'm not sure, but he was recognized for it like 60 years after he did it, before he died. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so cool.
That's it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you again for your time. And as an entertainment industry worker, proud IATSE member, I really appreciate your advocacy and just being outspoken and being pro-union and just, as you said earlier, having morals.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
And thank you for showing leadership.
Yeah. Hey, thank you both, and nice to meet you as well. And keep up the good work. I follow it all the time. I read it every day.
All right. There you go. Thank you, Miley. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Take it easy. Bye-bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yep. You too.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fr.